In a small, peaceful country town, there was an elderly carpenter named Grandpa Joe. He was famous everywhere for his incredible skill in working with wood. Rough pieces of timber became beautiful, finely crafted works of art in his hands. The townspeople often said that the way he worked was like watching an artist create something truly special. Many people came to him to learn from his experience and skill. Grandpa Joe was respected not only for his talent, but also for the patience and wisdom he had gained over many years. One day, two young men named Ethan and Jake came to see Grandpa Joe. They had heard many people in town talk about his talent and experience. Full of admiration, they told him they wanted to become skilled carpenters like him and hoped he would teach them the trade. Grandpa Joe looked at them with a gentle smile and agreed. He told them that if they truly wanted to learn, they should meet him in the forest early the next morning. There, he would begin teaching them their first lessons in carpentry. The next morning, Ethan and Jake went into the forest with Grandpa Joe to begin their first lesson. He showed them many different kinds of trees and explained which ones were strong, which ones were still damp, and which ones were not yet ready to be cut down. Ethan listened very carefully, writing every detail in his small notebook. But Jake seemed impatient, thinking that strength alone was enough to cut a tree. That moment revealed the difference between the two young men. Always keep a strong desire to learn within you. That is exactly what helps people grow and move further in life. After a long day of working in the forest, Grandpa Joe told Ethan and Jake to sit down and rest under the shade of a tree. Instead of continuing the work right away, he calmly said that before teaching them more, he wanted to tell them a story. He began talking about a traveler walking along a country road under the hot midday sun. The traveler was extremely thirsty and started searching for something to drink. After walking for a while, he noticed a well beside the road. However, when he looked down, he realized there was no rope or bucket to draw the water. The water was deep at the bottom of the well, far out of reach. Because there was no way to pull the water up, the traveler felt helpless. After thinking for a moment, he decided to leave, even though his thirst was still strong. Sometime later, another traveler passed by the same well. He was also very thirsty and looked down to see the water deep inside. But instead of giving up, he began searching for a solution. He looked around and found a bucket nearby. Then he continued thinking about how to bring the water up. The second traveler did not quit. When he saw that the well had no rope, he began looking around and eventually found a bucket. After that, he pulled the long strands of grass from the ground and tied them together to create a temporary rope. Through patience and creativity, he managed to lower the bucket and pull the water up, finally satisfying his thirst. This story reminds us of an important lesson: always keep a learning mindset. This is because a person who is willing to learn will always find a way to move forward. After finishing the story, Grandpa Joe looked at Ethan and Jake and asked them a simple question: which traveler, in their opinion, was truly thirstier? Ethan thought for a moment and quickly answered that it must have been the second traveler. He explained that the second man did not give up when he faced a problem. Instead, he searched for every possible way to get water from the well. Grandpa Joe nodded in agreement with that answer. He explained that when someone truly wants something, they do not give up easily. Instead, they keep looking for solutions until they reach their goal. Grandpa Joe then turned to Jake and gently explained the deeper meaning of the story. He said that Ethan was like the second traveler because he truly wanted to learn. Ethan listened carefully, took notes, and thought about everything he was taught. Jake, on the other hand, often said that he already knew enough and relied only on his physical strength. But strength alone is not enough to become a true craftsman, a skilled craftsman. When Jake heard those words, he lowered his head in silence, slowly beginning to realize his mistake. After understanding the lesson from Grandpa Joe, Jake felt regretful because he had been too confident before and had not been willing to listen. He realized that relying only on his strength and the little experience he currently had would never help him truly improve. True skill requires patience, humility, and the willingness to keep learning from others. Jake understood that Grandpa Joe was not only teaching them how to work with wood, but also how to grow as a person. Real mastery does not come from believing you already know everything. It comes from staying curious, asking questions, and learning from every small lesson along the way. From that moment on, Jake decided to change his attitude. He began to listen more carefully, observe Grandpa Joe's techniques, and practice each step with patience. Slowly, he started to understand the deeper meaning behind the old carpenter's teachings. Grandpa Joe simply smiled as he watched the two young men continue their journey of learning, knowing that the greatest skill anyone can have is the willingness to keep learning every day will not help a person go further in the life. From that day on, Jake decided to start again with a completely different attitude. He began listening carefully, learning every small detail, and trying to improve himself each day. This story reminds us of the power of always learning and maintaining humility, because those qualities are what help people grow and move forward in life. Grandpa Joe's story also reminds us that learning should never stop. Many people believe that they already know enough and no longer need to learn anything new. However, that very mindset can slow a person down and cause them to miss many opportunities for growth. Truly successful people always keep an open mind and remain willing to learn from everything around them. Knowledge is something that no one can ever take away from you. For that reason, always maintain a learning mindset so your life can continue moving forward. Finally, Grandpa Joe reminded them that life always brings countless opportunities to learn. Learning is not only for beginners. Even those who have already achieved success must continue learning every day. When we keep our curiosity alive and maintain the desire to understand more about the world, we begin to discover new things that make life richer and more interesting. Learning not only helps us grow as individuals, but it also brings joy and confidence throughout our life's journey. Grandpa Joe ended his story with a meaningful message. He said that knowledge is one of the most valuable treasures a person can have, because it is something no one can ever take away. When people continue learning, they gradually become wiser, more confident, and stronger in facing life's challenges. On the other hand, if we stop learning, we slowly fall behind. That is why the most important thing is to always keep an open mind and remain ready to accept new ideas and new knowledge. As long as we continue learning, our lives will keep moving forward. Grandpa Joe's story ended with a powerful lesson about the importance of a learning attitude in life. Both Ethan and Jake realized that success does not come only from strength or natural talent, but from the willingness to learn and improve every single day. The simple lessons from the old carpenter helped them change the way they thought about learning and personal growth. From that moment on, they became determined to keep practicing, improving, and growing. If you find meaning in his stories, share them so that others can also learn these valuable life lessons. The story ends with a simple yet meaningful message. In life, what truly matters is not how strong we are, but how willing we are to keep learning. When people maintain curiosity and a desire to understand more, they will always find a way to move forward. Sometimes the smallest lessons can bring the biggest changes in the way we think. That is why we should always keep a learning mindset, because it is this attitude that will help make our lives better and better over time.